All right, Comics and Whiskey, back for another episode and another issue of Daredevil. And this story arc has been pretty phenomenal so far. Tonight's whiskey is going to be Tullamore Dew. I've mixed it with a little bit of soda. I know, I'm usually a whiskey purist, but hey, whatever. So it's a nice little two-finger pour with a little bit of diet soda on top, and don't talk shit about my diet soda. All right, let's get on with this. We're looking at Daredevil issue number 5. There's way too much shit that happened, so we're just going to cover the quick basics of what's going on. You see a baby strapped to his back. That baby was brought to him in issue number 1, and since then it has not been determined whether that baby is the Antichrist or the Savior, but Daredevil has been told it's both or one or whatever, so he's trying to figure that out. A couple issues ago, Karen Page found out that she has HIV, which in my opinion means that Daredevil must have HIV, and with his super senses, you'd think he'd feel that shit crawling around inside of him, but apparently not. And then also, Foggy Nelson got fired from the law firm because he's accused of murdering a client. So, let's get on with this. We start out where Daredevil brings this cool little cross trinket here to Doctor Strange because he's trying to figure out if there's anything mystical about it or what the deal is. Doctor Strange takes a look at it and says, nah, there's nothing magical about it, but what I did notice is there's a slight toxin that even when he was handling it, he felt the toxin start to course through him. And it would have affected him had it not been for his own magic, and he cast a little spell and the toxin had no effect. But Daredevil, even with his super sensitivity, didn't pick up on it. So the plot kind of thickens because everything throughout this story, everything that Daredevil has thought was mystical or biblical or religious, like there's slowly but surely there's been a logical scientific answer for every little thing. And this is just another one of those where he thinks there's something crazy going on, but it turns out someone just laced this trinket with a toxin. So it takes Daredevil back to his original question. You know, what's up with the kid? He thinks that maybe Doctor Strange might know because he's got so many, like, astrological, connections or whatever. And then Doctor Strange says, hey, you know what? Why don't you bring the baby to me? Which is something that has been triggering Daredevil because a couple of issues ago, he got in a fight with Black Widow when, the issue of the baby came up. And this is actually kind of great. And I love the way that Kevin Smith writes this. So Daredevil, pulls out the silver bullet and he's getting ready to throttle Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is just like, not so fast, my friend. I'm going to send these dancing triangles around your head. And then, Daredevil's like, oh shit. And that's when Doctor Strange tells him, hey, this toxin, it really only gets triggered. It really only gets triggered when someone starts questioning the innocence of the baby, and then you fucking snap. And that's exactly what happened when he was going toe to toe with Black Widow. So Doctor Strange says, you know what? Let me summon a demon. A demon would definitely know what role this kid is playing in the world. All right, let me get a drink real quick. Take a drink, everybody. Oh, that is good stuff. So we go to Karen Page. Karen Page is just going through a shitstorm of issues here. She's got the HIV, which doesn't really shock. It shouldn't shock anybody. I mean, the chick was like loosey-goosey with her vagina. She's been sharing needles. She's been a porn star. I mean, she's done, like, if she didn't have AIDS, I think that would be more of a newsflash. So these couple of pages, she's basically going through her relationship with Daredevil and how he was there for her and she was there for him. But she's been like, she's the on-again, off-again girlfriend. If you're not familiar with her, they've been doing this shit for decades. So finally she comes to the conclusion, that he needs her and she wants to be there for him. You can see at the bottom where it says Murdoch quits. Well, he quit because the firm didn't want to represent Foggy, who's been a longtime friend of his. Also, you see on the bottom right-hand side this curtain call. This is the guy who originally came to Daredevil and wanted the baby turned over, but now he's dead. So we cut back to Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange is summoning a demon from hell. And who does he get? None other than Mephisto, because Mephisto has actually appeared in prior Daredevil issues. Now, I always suggest you read the comic, like you get the comic, whether it's a digital download or something like I have, the Marvel Unlimited, or you go buy a hard copy. The dialogue between these two is awesome, and it just reaffirms my belief that Kevin Smith is one of the best comic book writers out there. He's written this whole story, and the whole thing has just been really good. But the banter between Doctor Strange and Mephisto is great. I mean, he's calling Doctor Strange like, meatling and hairless ape and all this other shit. And at the same time, Doctor Strange is like, saying, hey, you better answer my questions or I'm just going to send you back to hell. So it's almost like they're trying to intimidate each other, but that shit just isn't working. So Doctor Strange asks him, hey, what's the deal with this kid, this little baby? And Mephisto's answer is actually pretty cool. He says, look, you guys wrote this Bible, like, yeah, inspired by God, written by man, whatever. But you guys wrote this Bible. Christianity is something you did. You said that when the Savior comes back, he's coming back as a lion, not a lamb. And now here you are asking me if this baby is the Savior, which is about as lamb as you can get. And then Daredevil right here finally is like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because he wouldn't come back as a baby, because then we're waiting 18, 20 years before he does anything. Well, Mephisto picks up on the fact that Daredevil's there. And so he starts talking about, how Daredevil's a contradiction because he's like he basically has all this devil imagery, but he's, trying to be a good guy and a hero and whatnot. And so Mephisto says, man, if it was up to me, I would have taken more than your sight. But someone is already taking all that stuff from you. And Daredevil's like, what are you talking about? Who's doing this shit? And then right before Mephisto can say anything, Doctor Strange closes the portal and away he goes. But then, right here, this cool little art piece here, Daredevil's like, oh crap, my mom. His mom, as we learned a couple issues ago, is a nun. So then we go to this spread, which is really, really great. And as you can see, kind of moving to the side here, somebody went to his mom's church and just killed everybody. I mean, just wreaked holy hell on all these people. And you can see right here at the bottom, well, kind of in the middle, Daredevil's mom is laying there, and she's still alive, but everybody else just got waxed hardcore. And this guy right here with he's got forks in his mouth, his neck, and his forehead, which is a shitty way to die. But he was eating a hamburger and fries and peas and beans and pickles and whatever that other shit is. It's one hell of an interesting lunch. So she basically tells him, man, somebody came in here and just did a number on all of us. And who is it? Oh, it's Bullseye. If you remember from last issue, he was introduced. Now Bullseye is here. And this sequence has got to be one of my favorites. So he shows up, and of course he's throwing stars. And I don't know why he just didn't hit him with all 4 stars, but he distracts him with 3 and hits him with the other one. So Daredevil responds by tossing the silver bullet and whacking him in the mouth, which is a great move. But it gets even better. So he knocks out his 2 front teeth. Frickin' Bullseye gets his teeth and throws them at Daredevil's eyes, but then Daredevil stops it with his baton, which I think is freaking hysterical. So then Bullseye decides to go OG, whips out the pistol and shoots him through the shoulder because he still needs to know where the baby's at, so he can't really kill him yet. Well, Bullseye and Daredevil get into the fight, and Bullseye gets the best of Daredevil, just knocking the shit out of him, basically talking a bunch of smack. While he's doing that, Karen decides to show up, and she's talking to Daredevil's mom, and they're going to try to figure out how to get the baby out. Daredevil and Bullseye continue going at it, and he's like, give me the kid, because I'm tired of beating you or whatever. And all of a sudden, here comes Karen Page holding the baby. And so Bullseye's like, oh, look at you, you're pretty handy. And Daredevil's like, no, don't do this because we don't know what's going on. You can't give him the baby. And of course, he gets whacked with his own stick, which it's always been my opinion that the 2 biggest bitch moves are to either get beat with your own weapons or like if someone rips off a limb and beats you with that. Those are the 2 biggest bitch moves in comics to me. And right now, Daredevil is getting beat with his own weapons, so that's definitely not good for him. Karen gets the baby and puts the baby on this little, I guess it's supposed to maybe like a holy water thing or something. And here we see his mom has actually got the real baby. So Bullseye unwraps the baby from the nativity scene, and now he's all kinds of pissed off because, well, it's obviously not the real baby. So he tosses it and hits Karen in the head. And then he gets all mad again. Now, if you remember, this baby was out in the freaking rain for hours. Not crying, happy, smiling, whatever. Now, in the moment of escape, the baby decides to scream right here. And the mom's going to the door closest to Bullseye. This is a whole church, lady. What are you doing? You're going to sneak by this guy with a crying baby? Come on. Karen finds the gun, and she decides to go full magnum force on him because he's getting ready to beat Daredevil's mom again. And he's like, damn, you're persistent. Almost like if we weren't opposing each other, I would want you on my team. But the problem is there's no bullets in the gun, which is why he discarded it in the first place. So she decides to throw the gun down and runs back over to Daredevil. And as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, he still has the silver bullet in his hand. He decides to toss it back, and boom, hits Karen Page right in the chest, impales her with that thing. So Daredevil flips the frick out, and he's just like, oh shit, because, you know, now she's got his baton stuck in the chest. If you don't know anything about Karen Page and Daredevil, she's been like his main love interest for like forever, for as long as I can remember. And I started reading him back in the 80s. She's basically been a train wreck, but the whole purpose of this story the story between them two is reestablishing that regardless of what happened, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of emotion, which makes her getting impaled by this thing. I mean, it makes it just very, very dramatic because of this long history that they have. And, you know, we don't know if she was finally coming around or what, because if you remember, in the first issue, she was going to California, and now she's coming back to help him. But it's just a very, very, very heavy relationship that they have. So this is kind of a big deal. Karen Page isn't like a main character, but in Daredevil's life, she is a main character. So he says that he can hear the blood, it's forcing itself out. And she says, you know, I'll miss you. And with that, she's gone, which this is such a great way to end this issue. It makes me want to just go out and read the next one and the next one and the next one. It's just perfectly... it ends perfectly. And this whole story has been like that. This story arc has been fantastic. Leaving you, the last issue was, you know, Bullseye, and now this with him holding Karen. Now, if I was getting this on a month-to-month, I would be thinking, shit, next month Daredevil is going to be kicking the shit out of Bullseye. Luckily, we don't have to wait a month because this is all from 1998, all the back issues. All right, let's get another drink before we wrap this shit up. Ah, perfect. Okay. Well, that will conclude this issue or this episode of Comics and Whiskey. Remember, Tullamore Dew, it's a great Irish whiskey. I think you will like it. There is a little bit of a sweetness to it, but not as bad as Jameson. It's not quite as dry as the Bushmills, but it's definitely a solid whiskey. Anyways, thanks again for listening. We're going to be looking at another issue of Daredevil next time. I think we got 2 more in this story arc, and then we're going to switch over to something else. Maybe Hack and Slash, because I think that... Halloween is coming around, and that's a really good strip. All right, everybody, take care, and thanks for listening. I'm out.